That's right. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Bridging the Gap here on the Jersey First TV network. As always, I'm AJ Malillo,
And I'm Stephen Rambola.
and we got another great episode lined up for you guys. We got big news in New Jersey politics with Tammy Murphy dropping out of the governor's race, or the Senate race for the state of New Jersey. And then we got some other stories, like some interesting legislation coming out of uh, Florida, and I'd like to hear Stephen's take on that, being down in Florida as well. But before we get into all of that, quickly, Stephen, how's your week been? What's going on?
Man, it's another law school week, and you know exactly what that means. So, just been a lot of reading, a lot of writing, and I'm very grateful that school this week. We have off tomorrow as our little Easter break, so I get a nice 4 day stretch. Four of those days, all of them, I'm going to spend continuing to read, research, write, prepare for finals. So this serves as a message for those people seeking professional degrees. Even when you have a break, you don't have a break. It's nice that they let you think you have a break, but you simply don't have one. At least for me and where I'm at.
Absolutely
So
not. You never have a break.
yeah. So we've just kind of been since Monday. It feels like I've been holding my breath for 3 days, where I'm just kind of like, gotta make it through, gotta make it through, gotta make it through, gotta make it through, and then we get to today. Big sigh of relief. Get a good night's rest tonight. Fire it back up, and I got 4 days of good work ahead of me to get ready for final season. So I'm quite excited about that. I know you say this all the time. Final season is like your favorite time of the year in law school, and I would have to agree with you now, having been through it once. I'm very much looking forward to it again. It's when you get to collaborate. It's when you get to flesh out the ideas and spend time on campus and whiteboard until your hands go numb. And I love it. It's fun. So just kind of held my breath and making it through onto the next step of the journey.
Fair enough. I mean, my final season's gonna be weird this year. I only have one final, and it's the first day of final season that's in
What?
person. And then I have one final that's take home that I could do from now until the end of uh of the final stretch. So really, I mean, my final season is going to be completely different than it's usually. So hopefully that'll be more fun. I'll have less to do, and I can like take a little bit of time to breathe. So we'll see. But look, Stephen, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time for this one, so we're gonna have to jump into some stories. And I think the first story that we're gonna have to hit is that Tammy Murphy dropped out of this Senate race, um, pretty much paving the way for Andy Kim to be the next Democratic nominee for Senate, and replace Bob Menendez in his seat. So I guess what is most important of this story is that this is just a grassroots campaign, a sort of low voter ID, um, right name recognition for the Kim camp, kind of taking on this behemoth in New Jersey politics and winning just by simply being like, "Hey, we're grassroots. I care about the issues. I care about the people." And I think that the Murphy camp has been pretty much playing from behind the ball since they had to drop all of those ad campaigns right in the beginning because of allegations of corruption, because you're spending, millions of taxpayers of dollars on an ad campaign using Tammy Murphy's voice right after she announces the run for Senate, and for an entire campaign where our whole issue with Bob Menendez is that he's a corrupt piece of garbage. So, um, Andy Kim really just had to show up, it seems like, and everybody around him just dropped like flies. So, what's your takeaway from that? As this pretty much paves the way for this, what is he now? Three-term congressman from New Jersey's third congressional district that is going to be presumptively the favorite to be the senator from the state of New Jersey. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I listen. I think this is in terms of New Jersey politics, we're sitting at the nexus of what I believe is a really pivotal moment, right? So we have one of the longest serving senators, a incredibly ranked member, equally as incredibly corrupt in who the people of New Jersey, for some reason, have continued for the past decades at this point to elect to represent us. And we are finally, like snakes, shedding our skin and coming anew into hopefully a new era of New Jersey politics with hopefully the election of Andy Kim. And I think, again, it's all important to put it in the context of why we're here in the first place. We discussed at length on this show the indictments brought against the current and soon to be former senator of New Jersey, Bob Menendez, for corruption, his allegations for, taking money, gold bars, luxury cars in return for conducting favors. And what I think both Menendez not continuing, because it was uncertain until recently whether or not he was going to run again. And he's confirmed that he will not be seeking reelection. So with him officially, tipping his hat out, and the legacy candidate in Tammy Murphy running off her husband's last name and position as governor, it really opens the door for an entirely new generation of young politicians in New Jersey to take the helm and steer the state in a really great direction. And I think what's incredible about Andy Kim is, if elected, he'll be the third youngest senator sitting in the U.S. Senate, which is, if assuming he does a good job, great news for the people of New Jersey, because you have a young public servant who, like you said, has been committed since he ran for Congress many years ago to supporting grassroots movements. He's a grassroots supported candidate. And I genuinely believe that he speaks honestly and truthfully about the issues that he sees in his community. I would also add he's got a pretty great list of people that have endorsed him. I know most recently one of my favorites, Tammy Duckworth, Senator, veteran female, strong female character in the Democratic Party, a woman that I so wish could run for president, but some citizenship issues there. But ultimately, what I think is just really important about this is Tammy Murphy bows out. I think she ran the wrong campaign at the wrong time. And as much as her husband's done, as much as he might have had that historic win, being the first two-term Democratic governor to win re-election in like 2 decades in the state of New Jersey, that last name simply was not enough to carry her across the finish line. And I think we all knew that from the start. And so, again, I'm really just excited that this represents almost a new beginning for New Jersey and New Jersey politics, and how we want to present us in the Senate, what we want to stand for, what we want the people who represent us to stand for. And I think that Andy Kim has proven himself over his tenure as a congressman to be a man that the people of New Jersey should reliably put their trust and faith in to do a great job at representing them.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you said is really important for this race. It's a young man, it's a grassroots candidate, it's a guy who has been committed to public service his entire life, from starting back to his military career through his involvement in I'd say the federal government, like not actually politics, but working in for the federal government. And then once he got into politics, he's been paving this way for a person who truly cares about the people of this state, of this country. Whether you agree with his politics or not is another thing. I think one thing you can't say about the man is that he's in it for any other motivation other than he actually cares about this country. And then I would say when you flip it to the Republicans running, and you haven't had a lot of conversation there, but the two leading candidates on the Republican side of the ticket, Curtis Bashaw and Christine Siriano Glassner, which is more Siriano Glassner is the more Trump wing of the party, and Bashaw is more of the I won't say establishment per se, but like less Trump wing of the party. What you see from both of them is that they're not really establishment politicians. The Curtis Bashaw is an entrepreneur. He runs the Cape May Hotel, and he's an independently wealthy candidate. And Glassner, she was a mayor, so she has a little bit more of that political experience, but she's not like NJGOP establishment figure. And those are your two candidates on the Republican side. And sure, they don't have the name recognition, but either way, whomever wins that Republican race, you're going to have two pretty much anti-establishment candidates going toe to toe in the state of New Jersey. And I think that's only a good thing for the people in New Jersey, is that you're getting people that are jumping into politics for the people, it seems, and hopefully whomever is going to be the senator from New Jersey is going to be a complete 180 from the current Senator Bob Menendez. I think that's what's most important.
100%. And I want to add too, just another interesting flavor. And again, we have plenty of content in terms of our show that's discussed this. But the interesting thing about Andy Kim's position too is he's been leading the charge in way of this lawsuit that he filed, challenging the party line, the county line, as it appears on New Jersey ballots. And so I think we still have plenty of time before election, and hopefully that lawsuit will be settled. And in my personal opinion, hopefully will abolish the county line as it exists on the New Jersey ballots. But that also, again, I think it's just really symbolic of the moment that we are in when we look at New Jersey politics, and we're at a point of change. We are, opening the door from Democratic establishment, at least on the Democratic side, that has proven to be untrustworthy and abusive of their power and their positions, to this opportunity, like we've been saying, to let this grassroots candidate in who, like his policies or not, his commitment to public service is undeniable. He served in the military. He served as part of the intelligence community under Barack Obama. He's been a dedicated, congressman, and now attempting to run for Senate. This is a guy that's, in my opinion, honest, climbed the ranks, and has shown that he's dedicated to the causes that his community finds important. And so Andy Kim and his ability, at least just securing the nomination alone, presents a complete tide change in what New Jersey politics stands for. And I'm excited to see how it goes. And it'll be interesting to see how the Republican primary fleshes out. And as we look forward to November, who the two candidates on the ballot are going to be. And I think that'll be the real turning up period of this race, is when we get to see, whoever the two candidates are, presumably Andy Kim and, one of the two Republicans that you've been speaking about, what they find to be the important issues and the reasons that they're running and why we should choose one of them over the other. So there's a lot still hanging for the people of New Jersey to pay attention to make determinations on. And before you lend your support, I think the most important thing, like I said, is just recognizing the moment that we're in and deciding what direction we all collectively want to take this great state in as we move forward through this next election.
Absolutely, and I think another mark in Andy Kim's sort of leisure is that he said even after Tammy dropped out that he wants to continue this lawsuit because he wants this to affect the future elections. At this point, he has this nomination almost locked up. I mean, obviously, you never know what happens between now and June 4th, which is primary day, but presumably he has this locked up, and he's still fighting for this ballot initiative even when he doesn't even need it anymore. So I think that that's another mark to show that, he's fighting for things that he actually cares about. And obviously, those are the two leading Republicans that I mentioned. There's other people in the race, and we never know how it shakes out, but that's just what it's looking like right now. But Steve, another quick story to hit is what just passed down in Florida, which is a law that requires age verifications for porn sites as well as sweeping social media restrictions. So Florida joins many other states in this sweeping legislation to basically require pornographic websites to get age verifications, as well as sweeping social media restrictions, like I said, for where minors under 16 would be barred from social media platforms unless they're 14 or 15 years old and they get parental permission. The bill, HB3, is supported by many school officials as well as um, the many members of the Florida House. And the bill is passed through a bipartisan basis. And what's super interesting about the bill is that it doesn't attack social media from a content point of view. So this is how they're trying to get around the First Amendment issue of that, which again, I'm not too sure that there is a strong First Amendment issue because you are dealing with children here. But even so, what they're trying to get at is the addictive nature of the social media platforms as opposed to the actual content within the social media platforms, which leads me to believe that they have strong constitutional basis for that because we've talked about this on the show. Instagram knows that their feeds are toxic to especially young girls and addictive to especially young girls. TikTok obviously knows of its addictive nature. And it brings me to legislations of the tobacco market, which passed sweepingly, right? The reason we attacked the tobacco market is because they were targeting youth and they were advertising towards youth and of the addictive nature and unhealthy nature of their products that we know show a harm. And I think it's a parallel, a perfect parallel between the big tobacco industry and big media and big social media in this way, because they both market to they well, no longer tobacco, but they both marketed to children. They're both knowingly addictive to children. And now, both of these legislations are going to directly impact or directly target their impact on the most vulnerable among us. So Florida has passed this legislation. Other states have looked at it and passed similar legislations, particularly with the pornographic websites. Stephen, should New Jersey follow Florida's lead?
I think so, and here's why. I believe that we are at a really important time where, and maybe I have a different perspective on this, a different approach, but I think limiting the access that children and young adults have to unrestricted internet access is just, I see it as fundamental, and I see it as almost a duty that I would say it begins in the household, and parents should, be the first line of defense and or approval, of whether or not a child gets to have access to, or unrestricted access to the internet to engage with these platforms and consume this content and publish their own content. But I really do believe that it's going to be an integral part about how we raise children in the coming years and, you know, frankly, for the rest of time, because the internet is a tremendously powerful tool if you use it as such. It also has the ability, as we've discussed many times, to be this sort of conductor of harm. We've talked about the dangers of AI. We had Congressman Kane on here to specifically talk about how the legislatures nationally are going to start addressing these various issues that come up in the internet context. And so I think putting down some legislation that gets the ball moving on determining, when we culturally and socially think it's appropriate for children to have access to this kind of material and engage with content this way is a really great step forward. And I think it invites a conversation, a social conversation that we all need to be having in our communities, both, big and small, about what is appropriate for our kids to interact with. Another thing about the bill, just briefly, that I think is pretty interesting and seems heavy-handed to me. Uh, a parent can request that an account be deleted. So parents can submit requests to platforms under this new bill and request that an account is deleted. If an account doesn't do it, if it's not honored that request within 5 business days, the platform could be fined up to $10,000 per violation. And Florida's Department of Legal Affairs could collect up to $50,000 in civil penalties per violation if they fail to comply with any of the provisions outlined in the law that Governor DeSantis signed. So there's a strong incentive on the companies to, when these requests for account deletions or extra age verification come in, that they comply. And I think this will prove to be a really great sort of testing ground to see how the platforms respond, how effective these provisions and measures are. And I say, on behalf of the people of New Jersey, let Florida be the guinea pig. Let them figure it out. Let's watch and see what they do right, what they do wrong, so that when these issues come across the legislators' desks in New Jersey, we can learn from the mistakes and take the successes and build a bill that really does that it can to protect children on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. But my thing is, I think that's absolutely right. But I want to be a leader in this field. I don't want to step back. I think that New Jersey should take this and truly be a leader in this field. They should sign on to these legislations. They should push this forward. I think that Florida has taken a great step forward, and I think that New Jersey should join them in that and be a leader in this field as well. This should be a bipartisan issue. Florida is one of the biggest red states in the country. New Jersey is one of the most known blue states in the country. They should be joining the fight, because this is the next age that we are going to be fighting, and that's big tech. And big tech is the new big tobacco. And I think you see the dangerous effects on health that it has on young people. and I think that's why it's exactly right.
I think I can never shake my head at somebody who wants New Jersey to be taking the lead on anything because we might be the chosen people, just the best state out there. And so I say if we're in the position to lead, we should. But I don't mind catching a little lesson or two from somebody who's tried before us either.
Fair enough. But Stephen, unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap this episode up. So, on behalf of Bridging the Gap and Jersey First and Jersey First TV, hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you next week. I'm AJ Malillo.
I'm Steven Rambola.
See you, everybody.